December 2022, I started to apply for jobs, and I was getting a lot of rejections as expected. So hearing things like, "Oh, sorry, we can't give you a job because you are." First of all, you're an international student. Like, oh, you're not even an Australian citizen. Some say, oh, you don't have Australian experience, regardless of having Nigerian experience. So it was a lot of rejections. I didn't hear from the company for like almost a week. One day, I just got the call and saying, "You got the job," and I was like, "Damn."
Hi guys, you're welcome to another episode of Hangout with Emmy. Today, I have with me an international student who's now a graduate. He's currently working as a cloud DevOps engineer, and he's going to share with us his experience here in Australia and every tip and lessons and everything that we need to know to be able to secure a job as a cloud DevOps engineer. Watch out, guys. Stay tuned. You're welcome, bro.
Thank you so much.
Can we get to know you?
My name is Joseph. Joseph Ifeanyi Chukwukori. I come from Nigeria, the eastern part, Imo State. I'm an Ibise boy. I've been in Australia for the past 2 years. I came in here as an international student, did my master's in IT, and currently I work as a cloud DevOps engineer with Telstra.
Nice.
That's just about me.
Okay, so we're going to take it a little bit backward. You said you were an international student.
Yeah.
Now a graduate.
Yes.
So congratulations on that first.
Thank you so much.
How long was your program for?
My program was for 2 years.
2 years.
Yes.
So how long have you been in Australia?
I've been in Australia for 2 years.
So you came when 2022 or?
I came in 2022.
2022.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. So how would you say your experience has been as an international student?
My experience was, I would say, it's bittersweet. Coming from Nigeria and coming to a new country, it was a whole new environment, a whole new change.
Yeah.
But I was more excited than I was, scared, because it was a new adventure for me. I had an auntie here, but she was the only one I had. But it was a new experience for me to be able to come here, not know anybody, and build my life from scratch. And I'm happy as to where I've gotten with my time here in Australia. Yeah.
Awesome. So you graduated from James Cook University?
Yes, I did. It was a wonderful experience in James Cook.
So before you left Nigeria, did you do some sort of research before you came to the conclusion that, hey, I want to study here in Australia? And also, we're living here in Brisbane. What was the kind of research that you did, and how did you make that happen for yourself?
Yeah, it's a very good question. So prior to coming to Australia, I had different countries in mind. I was thinking of going to Canada because my younger sister was in Canada. She was studying nursing in Canada. And then I was thinking of Germany because I have a lot of cousins in Germany. And then obviously the UK, which is like the most popular destinations for international students in Nigeria. But then, I just happened to one day just chat my auntie. Shout out to Auntie Ozioma. I reached out to her and I asked her, hey, how about Australia? Because she's been here for a while. And she was like, Australia is a very wonderful country. They have nice weather and good money. And, it was really exciting the way she, presented Australia to me, which was different from what we all know in Nigeria, that, there's lots of snakes around and all of that stuff. The stereotype of Australia. But it was, I felt like, I don't know, something in me just said, let me try going to Australia to see what Australia was all about. Because already, there was Canada, but it was very cold. My sister stays in the coldest part of Canada. I didn't like the kind of stuff she was going through. She Brandon, Manitoba.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, but I basically didn't want to go to Canada. And then the UK is like, nah, like
Yeah.
everybody goes to the UK. Then I only had options of Germany and Australia. And with Germany, you basically have to understand the German
I think the
language.
language barrier.
Yes, and that will help, affect how you get jobs and all.
Yeah,
So
of
yeah,
course.
Australia seemed like the most perfect option for me, and I don't regret making that decision.
Very nice elimination method. Like you checked out a couple of things
Yes,
and that helped you, arrive at your decision to come down here in Australia.
yes,
So you did Masters of Information Technology
yes, right,
in James Cook.
yes,
Okay, and that took you a duration of 2 years to finish.
correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
So and right now you're working as a
Cloud
dev ops
engineer. Yes,
with Telstra.
yes.
That's a big one. So just take us through how you were able to, learn that opportunity.
So I would have to take you guys a little bit back to when I was in Nigeria. So when I was in Nigeria, I was working with a big Microsoft MSP known as Tech Experts. So they specialize in handling support for Azure products. Different Azure products like Microsoft 365. You have the Azure Virtual Machine. There are different departments in Tech Experts too. So I was working with the Azure networking team, EMEA. So we provided support to different countries, helping them to resolve issues in the cloud for Azure. The idea was for me, while I'm back in Nigeria, was for me to get a lot of experience prior to coming, to Australia. I was not able to get as much experience as I wanted. I only got like 6 months of experience. Then I came over for my master's back in 2022. So initially, I started out as every normal international student would start. I met a friend of mine. Shout out to Joel. He was able to, introduce me to, Sofitel, which is one of the big hotels here in Brisbane, if in Australia. Yeah. So I was working in Sofitel for almost a year. And I also had a little bit of side job with.
And was that, sorry to cut you, was that the year that you arrived Australia
Yes,
or the next
yes,
year?
that was the year I
Okay,
arrived in
the
Australia.
year you arrived in Australia, you worked with Sofitel.
With Sofitel, and I also had another job I got from James Cook. It's known as it was a laundry job.
I mean, just as every international
Yeah,
student, you dabbled through a couple of jobs.
exactly. So I basically was trying to survive and pay my rent and all of that. But one thing that I was able to do is I did not want to be in. I didn't want to be in these jobs for long. I didn't want to continue to work in the hotel because that was not my path.
Yeah.
I had studied computer engineering back in Unilag, and then I've gotten a good tech job back in Nigeria. Then coming over to Australia, it was kind of I was trying my best to see how I could leave the whole normal working job, student jobs, and I got to find out that in Australia it's kind of very difficult to break into their tech industry because of there is the part of you have to have Australian experience, and then there's also the part where you have to be an Australian citizen. So it's really difficult as an international student coming from Nigeria.
Yeah,
from
and also being an international student, that's like
you don't have enough working hours. They are not. It's going to be very difficult to get into the tech industry here. And so what I was able to do was the first thing I did was to kind of reduce. So every every normal international students when they come, they work so much. Yeah, but luckily for me, I came into Australia with a bit of cash. So the first thing I did was to reduce the number of hours I was working in the hotel and the other job. So I just made sure I chose the shifts that were paying the highest. So for example, you would take like Saturday and Sunday shifts.
Weekend rates.
Yeah, but I always make sure that I didn't work, more than maybe 4 days a week. Kind of. I only maximum 4 days a week. That's how I was working. So the remaining 3 days, because we obviously have 7 days in a week, the remaining 3 days I used it to do a lot of like, studying. I was studying for certifications. I was gaining skills for the tech industry here. I basically also involved myself in lots of projects because that's what those 3 days were meant for me to just use it to do something outside of just working my ass out. Um, so when sometime in December last year, I started to apply for December 2022. I started to apply for jobs, and I was getting a lot of rejections as expected. So a lot of times you'll be hearing things like, "Oh, sorry, we can't give you a job because you are." First of all, you're an international student. You're not working full time hours. Your visa doesn't allow you to work full time hours. And then some that see your past experience and they want to even try and give you a chance. They're like, "Oh, you're not even an Australian citizen
You're not even a permanent
or
resident.
permanent resident." And then some say, "Oh, you don't have Australian experience, regardless of having Nigerian experience."
Of experience from your country.
Yeah, so it was a lot of rejections. But one of my strategy was I wanted to see if I could even get like an unpaid job, like just to
Just to get the
get that
experience.
experience, because it was very critical for me to get that experience so that I can use it as a stepping stone to get a job.
Move up.
And also we all know how important working in your field is in Australia, as it helps you to obtain your permanent residency, right? So I met Juliana back in James Cook, and I told her, "Hey, I'm trying to look for a job," and she tried to set me up with some companies here in Australia. But it wasn't really favorable for me because the place was far, and I had to be paying like so much on Uber to go there for my distance. So I kind of I actually got the job, but I couldn't take that job.
Was that an IT job?
It was an IT support job, more or less. But I couldn't take that job because it wasn't for me. I felt I already have IT support experience back from Nigeria, and I didn't want to be paying so much just to travel distances just to get that experience. I mean, if it was in the city, I would have taken it.
But what was the job paid or not?
It was not paid. It wasn't paid. But remember, I mean, I wouldn't mind getting the experience, even if they were not paying me, if it was in the city, where I don't have to pay so much to get to work here. So I kept on doing my normal hotel job, and I kept on going. But then, luckily for me, I got an interview, a call from a recruiter, and I answered the call, and then she said, "Oh, like, do you have the skill? Do you have the skill? Do you have the certificate?" I said, "Yes, I do." And then she set me up for an interview with Versant. So Versant is a top cloud consulting firm here in Australia, not even Brisbane. They are actually, we deal with a lot of major clients in Australia, be it Energy Queensland. Just think about all the major guys. We help them build out their cloud solutions, their DevOps practices, and all of that. So I got a call from the recruiter, as I said, and she scheduled me for an interview. But trust me, this interview was over like 4 stages of interview. Yes. So every stage you pass to get. But one good thing was that the person who interviewed me actually, like, he was a really chilled guy. The interview was actually really chilled. He basically made me relax, and then he started asking me technical questions, which I obviously was prepared because I have, again, as I said, I've been doing a lot of projects on the side. I've been doing a lot of certifications, so I had a lot of knowledge.
So this recruiter that called you, did you submit an application with them, or they came across your profile somewhere?
Oh yeah, they came across my LinkedIn profile.
So you have a LinkedIn profile?
Yes, I have a LinkedIn profile. Yes, you guys should have a LinkedIn profile.
Set up your LinkedIn profile.
Yes, it's really important that you set up your LinkedIn profile, and not just setting it up. You want to set it up in such a way that it looks enticing to recruiters. You want to make sure that you put the right captions, and you have the right certificates, and you put yourself out there. Talk about the projects you've worked on, talk about what you're actually learning. Get some certifications, put it out there. And trust me, like, the more you do those things, the more exposure you get, and the more recruiters would reach out to you. I can count how many times recruiters actually reached out to me from LinkedIn.
Awesome,
right? Without even applying.
That's a very huge tip. So tip number one: set up your LinkedIn profile. If you're an IT personnel, if you're a professional, whatever career that you find yourself, if you get to Australia, set up your LinkedIn profile. That gives you quite a number of exposure, you know.
Yep.
So I would like to say a big thank you to my new subscribers and also my old subscribers. And for your comments, I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. If you're watching and yet to click on the subscribe button, please do that right now, as I promise to bring you more interesting topics. Back to your interview. How did it go?
Oh, the interview was it was actually crazy. As I said, 4 stages of interview, technical questions. The white people, they know their stuff, so they will ask you questions to know if you really know your stuff. And I was just I would say I was just passing each of those stages. Well, when it got to the last stage, and I didn't hear from the company for like almost a week.
Wow.
I was like, maybe I've lost this job. But then, luckily for me, one day I just got the call and saying, "You got the job," and I was like, "Damn!"
How did you feel?
Like, not only was it surreal that I got a job in IT, like it was like when they even told me about the salary package, I was like, you understand? Like I was not expecting it at all. Like for someone who was trying to.
So when you got this job, were you still a student?
Yeah, I was a student.
You were still a student?
Yes, in James Cook.
So guys, it's possible. I mean, if you've got what it takes, if you've got what they want, it doesn't matter if you're a student or not. You could be able to land that your dream job,
Yes. The most important thing, actually, it's difficult, but it's not impossible. You understand? Like, you're going to get a lot of rejections. But you just have to, keep putting yourself out there, keep trying, keep applying,
and also keep improving yourself. That's one thing I understood.
Yes,
like,
definitely.
Keep yourself, getting certifications.
Keep improving yourself, definitely.
Make yourself valuable.
Yeah, that's the right word. Make yourself very valuable. It's you might get a lot of rejection, but somebody might or would take a chance on you if you keep applying.
Yeah.
So yeah, but right now, as I said, I said in the beginning that I work as a cloud DevOps engineer with Telstra. So my company got bought by Telstra. So currently I'm working with Telstra.
Wait. Okay, so you got the job with what?
Versant.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then what happened?
And then, my company, Versant, got bought by...
Okay, so your current company...
Yeah.
Bought the company that you were working with?
Yes.
Oh, cool. And you didn't get sacked? They still retained you?
I mean...
Because that happens, when the company takes over another.
Yes, you're right. It's yes, so it's kind of, everybody was scared when that happened, which everybody knows is normal in tech, where a company buys over another company and then lay off a lot of stuff. But the reason why they bought us was because of our specialty in the cloud and digital space. So they bought us to add capability to Telstra rather than to sack us. So exactly, they bought us to bring that our special abilities and skills to help Telstra grow bigger, and so I don't really think they had any intentions to
So was there a change by the time they bought the company? Have you graduated then or still?
Oh yeah, they just did that this year.
Okay, so you were a graduate when that happened.
Yes.
So when did you get like a new contract, or was it the same old contract?
Oh, so right now we just recently moved into Telstra building. Okay. So obviously throughout this year there's going to be a lot of changes, which we'll eventually see it play out. But right now we're still transitioning from our company, the way we walk into the new culture of Telstra. So right now I'm just saying we just watch and wait and see what happens. If there are going to be new contracts. Yeah. If they are, obviously we're expecting with how big Telstra is, there's going to be a lot of projects and there's going to be lots of stuff to do.
Awesome. Yeah. I mean, guys, this is really, really interesting. I mean, being an international student and landing a very, very special job that I mean that is very difficult for quite a number of international students to come by.
Yeah.
This is really, really remarkable. And a little bit away from jobs and all of that, how has your work affected your social life? Because I mean, IT students are basically, just with their lap, married with their computers all the time. So how has this how have you been able to manage your social life and work?
Fair enough. So while I was still a student back then, like I did have, time to socialize a bit. Like when I say
Mm,
socialize, I mean I hang out with my friends and
mm.
chill with my friends, chill with my girlfriend. But like I don't when I maybe the going out part of things where
Mm,
you go out to the clubs and all of that has
mm,
reduced a bit.
definitely.
Yeah, so most of the time, it's just my work, my girlfriend, my
Mm,
family, my
in
friends.
fact,
Yeah, and yeah, that's how my
very
life has
good,
been.
very good life, bro.
Yeah,
Very good life.
that's how my life has been.
Yeah.
Yeah, for the
So,
past 1 year.
what has been the most difficult experience that you've encountered since you left Nigeria to Australia?
The most difficult experience.
Yeah.
Let me think.
Most challenging.
Um, so coming over to a new country, there are different stages of challenges you would face.
Oh yes.
um, So the first challenge that you would face when you first come into a new country is how to adapt to that country.
The culture shock.
The culture shock.
Mm,
You would first of all have to learn how to, fit into the culture, how to understand this new culture you're currently on.
mm,
And once you pass that phase, then you also have different tiny challenges like making sure you do well in your studies back in like in school.
school, yeah.
Yeah, but I think the most difficult actually is trying to first of all, one of the most difficult things, two most difficult things I would tell you for sure is trying to get a job
Mm,
and also PR.
mm.
Those are like two most
Two
difficult
more
things
difficult things.
that I would say it's
Mm,
very hard for international students. Every international student. I wouldn't even say it's just for me, but
mhm,
I would say for every international student, getting a job in Australia, like a job in your field. I mean, you could get a job easily
yeah,
if
but
you're doing any type of job. But if you want to get a job in your field, it's quite difficult to get a job here in Australia. And then obviously the most difficult of them all getting, permanent residency,
mhm,
which takes a lot.
mhm,
So outside of that, there is also missing your family back home.
mm,
For me, it wasn't really a big deal because I've always lived outside of home. I stayed in a boarding school, and then
mm.
in back in Unilag, I was also
Same
out
here.
of
So
home,
yeah.
and so I miss my dad and my mom. I miss
Mm,
them a lot, but I don't feel anyway homesick.
mm,
I have my friends here who
mm,
I'm happy to always chill with, and yeah, that would I know that's a lot of challenge for people for international students also, but for me it was just it was just there. It was just on the side,
mm,
but it wasn't really a big challenge for me at all. But yeah, outside of that, as I
mm,
said, two most difficult challenges for me personally, and for most international students,
mm.
is getting a job in Australia and you know applying or getting your permanent residency. Yeah.
Okay, to round up the interview, I'm just gonna get you to, I know while you were talking, you gave out quite a number of tips. So I just want you to, give some tips to the people out there that are watching, people that are looking to come to Australia to study, and most especially the people that are doing IT, the IT inclined people that want to come to Australia to study. What are the tips that you're giving them?
Okay.
You know,
So first of all, I'll start with people who are planning to come over from Nigeria.
or from anywhere.
From sorry,
Yeah, from anywhere.
from anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Before you come over to Australia or whatever country you're planning on going to, please by all means do your research. Understand, what your options are. Understand the course you're coming to study. Does it lead is there a pathway for you to, stay back in the country? Is there not a pathway? You must have a plan when you're leaving wherever you're coming from. Do you want to come here, work, go back to your country and develop your country? Do you want to come here, stay? You must have a plan in your head. So make sure you just do your research and have a plan and stick to that plan when you come over to Australia or whichever country you're going to. And then for those who are already here, who are studying IT, because I'm in the IT field, right? I would say by all means, remain focused. That's very, very important. Don't get really distracted. Um, there's a lot of distractions here, but you know, as long as you know why you're here and you stick to why you're here, trust me, you're definitely gonna make it. Um, you know, for applying for jobs and for excelling in your studies, you just have to make sure that again you keep, make out time for your studies, make out time for your certifications. As we mentioned during the interview, like make sure that you put yourself out there on LinkedIn, get a LinkedIn profile, put all the things that you're learning, all the certifications that you're doing, all the projects that you're involved with. Make sure that it's out there. And also, I know, like, I'm just speaking generally, but for those who, let me say, for Christians or whatever, pray, whatever you believe in, pray to, to that, and just hope for the best. And trust me, by the end of the day, like, there's light at the end of the tunnel. So just keep doing what you're doing, keep grinding your job, but just remain focused, and everything is gonna come out well for you.
Awesome, very awesome. I mean, this has been quite enlightening and very interesting for me, guys. I'm sure you would agree with me also that, I mean, this episode has been very, very educating and very packed with a lot of information. If you did grab, I mean, a knowledge or two from this, just go ahead and share and like and drop a comment if you don't mind. And for those that are watching and yet to subscribe, please subscribe. And I'm very thankful to my new subscribers as well as my old subscribers and all my supporters worldwide. I see you guys on the comment section. Thank you so much, and I'm very, very grateful. Thank you so much for coming around. And
thank you for hosting me. Yeah. And please, by all means, follow Emishari YouTube and on his IG also. Yeah, it's really wonderful. Yeah, subscribe to his YouTube. Thank you so much.
He's currently he's currently working as a
cloud DevOps.
Jesus Christ, help me. Boss.